So now is time for the wheel. For those of you that are new, we've got a couple of new folks here. The wheel came to me as a divine idea demonstrating that the infinite does in fact have a sense of humor, because what I did was invite questions from the community. And so we keep filling up the wheel. We get new questions every week. And what I do is I spin this, and wherever it lands is how the talk is contextualized for the day. We have an overarching theme, but I never know exactly how it's going to roll out until I do this. And today it says, is there such a thing as real freedom? Okay. And so I will take this into our time of meditation and contemplation, and it really is that place within me. God only knows what I'm going to say, and we'll find out together. So, let's take a breath together. So we're continuing with our overall theme, first thing first. No, there is not a script for what the first thing is. Each of us gets to decide that. And my personal experience is it's an ongoing decision, moment to moment. It would be so easy if the first thing was always the first thing, but it's kind of not, because change keeps happening. Which is a good thing, because otherwise we'd all still be some nondescript amoeba, right? If change didn't happen. So this month, today particularly, we're finishing up with the 7th step, relating the steps of recovery to metaphysics. And the wording of the 7th step is humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. And we've had conversations about the whole context of him and something outside of ourselves. And you get to reframe that however you want. I will say this, there are times in my life where I need something outside of myself until I can get clear that I am that it is in me. If you've ever seen the movie The Shack, it's a great example of how the infinite shows up however we need it, whenever we need it, right? It can show up as a woman, it can show up as a man, it can show up as a kid, it can show up as a squirrel. But it shows up because it's how we relate to it. And that's really what we're going to get into today. This idea of removing shortcomings. And it fits right in with, is there really such a thing as freedom? Yes. In fact, we are free all the time. What there's not really is bondage. Freedom is our natural state. Bondage is self-created by our beliefs. It's just that simple. Ernest Holmes says it this way, the very thing that frees us enslaves us. Thought. Right? So how the heck did we get here with this beautiful, complex thing called thought? Well, let's go on a little journey. Back to, there's just Earth. And there's no people here. There's just Earth. And you arrive. And so I invite you to just drop into your imagination and go with me here for a minute. You are just all of a sudden here on planet Earth. You have no information. Right? You have no language. You have zero understanding of where you are, who you are, what you are. You got nothing. It's day one of humanity. Right? And what we have is experience of all this thing called creation that we can't explain. And something within us, the little lizard brain, that is older than everything in this human body. Chronologically, evolutionary, the lizard brain, oldest part of our body. It's been around a lot longer than the prefrontal cortex. And the lizard brain is the part that protects us. It's the part that needs to explain everything. And so it begins to do that. Here we are on planet Earth, and there's sunshine. And with sunshine, there's an experience that we call warmth. We didn't have the word warmth. We didn't even know what sun was. We just knew there we were. We didn't know we were naked, but we were, because clothes weren't a thing yet. Right? And so we began to try to explain what we were experiencing. And that's where myth started. We had zero information. It's also where our PhD in MSU started. Right? You remember what that is? Your PhD in making stuff up? That's called myth. Right? And it's part of the human evolution. And perhaps if we take a moment to understand it, instead of criticizing and vilifying it, we can begin to understand its place. Right? I can imagine being the first human watching the sky, and there's a bright light. And then gradually something covers that light. And yet there's tiny little specks of light now. But I don't even know what light is, and I certainly don't know what stars are, and I don't know what day is, and I don't know what night is. But then the next day, the light is back. And so I can grasp writing a story to explain it, that there's something really powerful up there. And at nighttime, the little pinholes, because this is what myth says, that the night covered the day, and there were little pinholes that promised the light was still there. We now know those are stars, but we didn't know that. But what a I get goosebumps thinking about that the imagination, something within us, made up a story so beautiful. And then science began to evolve. And we began to be able to explain what the sun is, what the earth is, what the stars are, what day is, what night is. And we began, as science evolved, we separated from the mystical experience of myth. And instead of making stuff up to explain our experience, we made stuff up to separate ourselves. Because that's what science does. Science is about separating things in order to understand them. Science is about asking questions, and none of this is negative, it's just how science works. Right? We separate things to understand them, and then we can understand how they work together. Where our failure came, I think, is that we didn't bring myth and science together. Instead, we used, evolutionary-wise, socially, we used science to nullify myth, to relegate it to philosophy and history books, but not to invite it as a continued experience. Right? Because myth, by definition, was fiction. The essence of the word, mythos, from the ancient Greek, simply means fiction. It means we made it up. Because we did. So what? So what? Science is simply a methodology of gaining knowledge, separating things to understand them. And then comes this beautiful concept out of philosophy called the Logos. The Logos simply refers to what is true, what is undeniably true, what you can't separate. Call it God, call it Logos, call it consciousness. It is a truth that just is. And perhaps that's the bridge, right, to bringing us back. Because this thing of our shortcomings, that is nothing more than thought that is out of alignment with the truth of our being. That's all it is. It's not, there is no wrongness of you. There is no fundamental wrongness in you. Please understand that. That does not mean you don't make mistakes. You do. We all engage in wrong behavior. But wrong behavior does not equal a wrong person. You couldn't be a wrong person if you tried. Because you're made of absolute rightness. There is no wrongness in rightness. There is no opposites. There's just perfection of being. Now, it would be wonderful if perfection of being 100% translated into the perfection of doing. But then we wouldn't have this freedom thing. See, because part of freedom is the freedom to choose how we show up. If we didn't have the freedom to choose, creation couldn't expand its experience of itself. It could only replicate one thing. And there would be no expansion. It creates in multiplicity, creates out of itself. So everything, that speaker, this microphone, this wheel, is the infinite substance in form as these things. And as Ernest Holmes said, everything is as real as it is supposed to be at its level of expression. Right? What that means is this isn't supposed to drive a car. And so it would be silly if we expected it to. Right? It's just, that's not what it does. Any more than my liver is supposed to perform the functions of my kidneys. And I don't know about you, but I personally am quite grateful for this this thing called cell differentiation. And so identical. Now get this. Your body, if you're confused about how the infinite works, take an anatomy class. I'm serious. Because how this works is how all of this works. When I was helping Deborah study for nursing school, when she was doing her prerequisites, she taught me that this physical body, the organs and all the functions, is a tube within a tube. Right? And if you think about it, this is a tube within a tube of all of creation. Right? I have organs that function to run this machine. I am very grateful they function in harmony with one another. I am really grateful that I am not awakened in the middle of the night by an argument between my kidneys and my heart and my liver arguing over who's going to do what tomorrow. I'm just saying, because I imagine if they didn't, that could be a possibility, and that would be really not well in my body. And yet we do that in the infinite. Instead of knowing our place, instead of knowing our function, we take the term knowing our place and turn it into something horrible. Right? Because for centuries, male dominance has used that against women. Know your place, woman. And so conditioned thinking creates bondage. I want to speak directly to how we heal that. Because we have a technology that's not new. Spiritual mind treatment, not new. It's been used in many, many different ways. Myrtle Fillmore, one of the co-founders of Unity, used a slightly different version of affirmative prayer, but it's the same technology. Melinda Kramer, the founder of Divine Science, used the same technology, slightly different format. Why do people keep using it? Because it works. Because it works. But here's what doesn't work. Focusing on getting rid of something will never get rid of anything. You know why? Because you keep it alive trying to get rid of it. That's why. Every time you try to get rid of hate, you empower hate. Because you're saying hate has enough power that it needs to be gotten rid of. When it doesn't. What we need to understand is that peace is the truth of being. And that I am, you are, everybody is peace waiting to be recognized. But see, we want a peaceful environment while acting unpeaceful. I want to yell and scream about peace and how you're screwing it up without taking a shred of ownership that I am doing exactly the thing I want you to stop. I'm separating. I'm blaming. I'm on the villain, victim, hero triangle, waving my victimhood flag, pointing my paint gun at you as the villain. But I want peace. Really? I don't believe you. I believe you want your idea of peace, and I believe your idea of peace in that scenario is self-righteousness, and that's not peace, that's separation, and that is always going to be painful. Always. Our greatest shortcoming is believing the lie that we're separate. We're not. You can't hate somebody enough to be separate from them, and you can't love somebody enough to be more one with them. You can't. Because one is one. But we have to change this. We don't have to create something new. We have to stop blocking our experience of what is. That's where the healing is. That's why it's called spiritual mind healing. In a new design for living, and this is information on your study guide. Gave you some quotes to contemplate. Insomuch as every thought is creative. Every thought is creative. Did you get that? Not just the ones you like. Not the ones you mean to create from. Every thought is creative. Every thought may be considered a form of prayer. If that's not the prayer you want answered, stop praying it. From this point of view, what is the nature of our prayers? Do we affirm or deny the good we desire? Prayer is only a form of thought, and negative prayers create negative experiences. All prayers answered. That's how it works. From the Science of Mind textbook, it's a lot there in the 274, page 274 range. Treatment is not for the purpose of making things happen. How many people, if we're being honest, use spiritual mind treatment to turn God into a vending machine? That's not what it's for. Because, and this is why we stall in that process, because trying to make something happen assumes that it isn't already happening. And so the treatment is technically one of lack and limitation, and so we are imprisoning ourselves without even knowing it. The whole trick is to affirm what is. Not that your abundance is coming, but that you are a center of infinite abundance. You are the abundance. Stuff is not the abundance. Stuff is the form of your abundance. It's the effect of abundance. It's not abundance. You are abundance. You're not abundant. You are abundance. There's a difference. You're not the adjective, you're the thing itself. It is to provide within ourselves an avenue through which they may happen. It all comes back to you. Here's another. Treatment is not something one does to another. Get that? Stop treating to change other people. That's none of your business. Not something one does to an environment, nor to a situation. How many of our treatments are anchored in those three things? Right? It is always the thing one does to themselves. Treatment is about changing you. And it's really not even about changing you. It's about changing your understanding of you. It's about changing your thoughts. It's about changing your experience of you. Because you are changeless substance in form. There's nothing in you that needs to change. We just get to figure out and be aware of that. It's the blocks that have to go. Whatever method enables them to do this is a good method, a good way. We teach a certain form of spiritual mind treatment. I'm glad this is being recorded. And I jokingly, if the Science of Mind police come after me, okay, come on. I don't care how you pray. I care about the results that you're getting. I care about what happens in your prayer is that you are speaking truth to your brain from the activity, the law of you, the soul of you, the infinite creative you. That you are speaking that into being in such a powerful way that the human you can no longer deny it. Do that kind of prayer. Do that. We're still going to teach what we teach because it's a scientific method that works. And do you, boo? Seriously. Just treat every day. The last one I'm going to mention here. When we treat for right action, we should start with the supposition that right action already is. Don't stop praying for something you don't believe already is because you're praying in lack and you're going to just keep the lack there. We do not create right action. Please get this. Ernest Holmes says in the 1926 edition, we create nothing, we use creation. Creation is a whole complete and perfect integrity. It's already done. It is the infinite everything. We don't create squat. That's our arrogant human thinking, I did that. No, you didn't. You used it. But you didn't make it. Something must come into the treatment which is uncompromising and absolute. If you aren't at a place where you understand the truth of your being, start your treatments there. Start them there. Look around you. Recognize whatever this is. Start writing your own myth of explaining the magnificence of creation until you believe it. Until you've disconnected so completely from all of the conditioned thinking, because that's what we change with spiritual mind treatment, is conditioned thinking. We don't eliminate it. We tell truth to the bullshit. And I know I'm going over. Don't care. The Pentecostal part of me is having its way this morning. That's a conditioning I'm not sure is ever going to get overcome. Not even sure I'm going to try. But here's the piece I want you to get. I've given you several things to play with. I've given you the definition of myth, of science, of logos. I've given you a new way to look at spiritual mind treatment. Okay? Declare your understanding of God, life, the thing itself, spirit, logos. Just start there. Declare what you understand it to be, not what I understand it to be. What do you understand it to be? Connect with yourself, your divine self. It already knows. Declare your understanding of your unification with what you shared in the recognition of what it is. Where do you fit in? What organ are you in the function of the whole body? Are you a liver? Are you a kidney? Are you a toenail? Are you a fingernail? What's your purpose in all of this? Declare your release of all mental attachment to the thoughts and beliefs that are out of alignment with your understanding of God. See, if you start with what you understand and you move to you're unified with it, then let go of everything that conflicts with that. Because that's your prison. And then declare the authentic spiritual truth of you that is in alignment with your understanding. Declare your celebration of that authentic spiritual truth of you. And then declare a final release of any remaining human attachments that pop up to argue with it. Right? Because you can do all of this and it's great, and then you get ready to let go and the argument starts. So take a final sweep at letting go of all of the lies that pop up in that last minute argument so you don't cancel your treatment before you even finish it. Right? And I encourage you to do at least one treatment a day for the next 7 days. If it doesn't work, come back next week. I will greatly refund your misery. I promise you. Rumi says it this way, and then I'm going to shut up. Our job is not to create more love, but simply to remove all the barriers we have created against it. You don't have to create a better you. You are a divine idea in the mind of God. You are an intentional, one-of-a-kind, never-to-be-repeated desire of whatever this is to experience itself as you. That's pretty freaking amazing. The only thing stopping you from experiencing the fullness of that is you. And the problems are all from the neck up. And no, you can't just cut your head off. But you can bring your head in alignment with your heart. Because your heart knows who you are. That's why it hurts when you're living in separation. Let's take this into prayer. I recognize that there is one amazing something, indefinable, beyond the capacity for my human brain to even begin to grasp. And yet I recognize it within me. I recognize it in the eyes and in the smile of everyone I meet. I recognize the oneness. And so I choose to affirm over and over again, to speak into physical being the perfection of creation, the love that creation is, the harmonious operation of one where there is no sense of separation. And every moment feels magical. That peace is the order. That love comes as easily as breathing. That communion defines community, common unity. That there is a time in the infinite now, that what is available on this planet is a peace so pervasive that there is no controversy to discuss. There is only magnificence to honor. There is only awe to live in. I know that exists now. I know that is the natural state of affairs of this entire universe, the cosmos, and everything in it. And so I remind myself again and again and again of what the truth is. Letting go of all the lies. Living a journey of moments, not of maps. And I celebrate. I celebrate that giddiness that I feel inside right now that recognizes itself, that is screaming, hallelujah, just at being seen. And so I let go. I let go of all the human noise that, yes, but. I let go of all the what ifs. I let go of all the, but you, I let it go. And I return to the truth. And I choose to live there. And I invite you to own the words of creation spoken as yours, as we say together. And so it is. Just take a breath.